These are going to be the 3 keys to throw a consistently perfect spiral. I think the last 2 are going to be a little bit surprising to you, or a little bit different than what a lot of people talk about. The first one, we're going to go into the arm path. I think this one's a little bit more traditional. We just don't want to have the ball coming too close to the body or getting too far away from us. And then as the ball's coming out of the hand, we just want to make sure that the index finger is the last finger to touch the ball. There's some people that I'll see go with more of like the ring finger, or maybe even the middle finger. You definitely want to be able to get the index finger to be the last part of the finger that's touching the ball, and really you want to make sure it's like the inside edge of the index finger. Another big part of this is the lower body. I think a lot of times we throw from the lower body. We really just use the arm to kind of just guide through the release. And so what ends up being important here is, one, as we're shifting our weight, and I think this ends up being one that's a little bit different than what a lot of people talk about, is we want to be able to continue rotation. I'll see people that'll stop the rotation of their hips as they're going through the throw, and because of that, that'll limit how well they're going to be able to throw a consistent spiral, because once you stop your hips, that's a lot of times what makes it so then the ball comes off to the side, and makes it so then the hand is more underneath the football. When we continue to get the rotation of the hips, then we'll be able to get the elbow to be able to come through better. Really, the idea is to get that bicep to the ear to then be able to get that nice downward release on the football. The last one, I think, ends up going into the footwork. So if we end up crossing over with the feet, this is another thing that's going to make it hard to be consistent with throwing a spiral, because again, we're going to cut off how well we're going to be able to rotate within our lower half. The better understanding we have of being able to create a fluid motion in the hips, I think that'll translate better to being able to have a more consistent spiral, especially when we go into like a 3-step drop, 5-step drop, things like that. We want to be able to stay consistent with how we're going through the drop back to make it so then we can get our hips to be able to shift from front outside part of the back foot, and then be able to shift the weight into the outside back of the front foot. The better we can do that, it's kind of like going through a golf swing. The better we can do that, then I think the better we can shift that weight onto the front leg as we're going through. And if we are consistent with the weight shift, that makes it a lot easier to be able to predict the spirals.